very good evening to one and all. A very warm welcome to all of you. It's great to have such a diverse group of SAP professionals here today, taking the initiative to learn and grow an area that's becoming increasingly critical into SAP Master Data Governance. Before we dive in, I would like to get a quick sense of the audience. I believe many of you are coming from backgrounds like FICO, SD, basis or supply chain, or maybe some of you might be also from end users or already familiar with data management and governance concepts. So in today's session, our goal is to give you a clear and practical understanding of SAP MDG, how it functions in real-time business scenarios, and why organizations today are prioritizing strong data governance as part of the digital transformation journey. Okay, so before we dive in, so I just wanted to give you a quick introduction about our trainer for today. So we are glad to have with us an experienced SAP MDG professional with us, Mr. Anvesh Pulijala, with an extensive industry exposure in master data governance implementations and real-time projects, completing 16 plus years, trained with 50 plus batches, and with strong expertise in SAP master data governance, with a strong expertise in MDG architecture, workflows, and enterprise data governance practices. So he has been actively involved in helping organizations streamline their master data process. In today's session, he will walk us through the core concepts of SAP MDG, practical use cases, and a live demonstration, which will give you a clear understanding of how SAP MDG works in real business environments. So without taking much time, I would like to hand over the session to our trainer to take this forward. Over to you, sir. But before that, I think most of the participants are already joined from the previous sessions. So, and there are people who have joined as a new participants this time. So I would like you to request to give a recap of the previous session that has been completed last Sunday, so that the new joiners would also get to understand as part of today's session and also the last. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone. Good evening. Good evening all. So I hope all the audience are able to hear me well. Can someone please confirm?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. So as Aaron requested, I see that there are new participants joined today. And I believe Aaron would have already shared the previous session link. I'm not sure how many of you really got a chance to go through this link. But however, since we have a lot of new interests that we could see, I will quickly recap whatever we had discussed in the previous session. And then I'll start continuing towards for the points that we want to plan for today's session. Yeah. So let me pick up my previous slide. So we have designed this program for 3 different group of audience, right? One is for someone who is coming from non-SAP background and who are completely freshers and who wants to try their career in the SAP space, and they have opted to learn SAP MDG as one of the skill, right? So for them, we call it as a career beginning program. And there are some audience who are already having some connect, either with the data or some kind of the project execution experiences, or coming from any cross domains of SAP, or coming from SAP technical or admin part, or anyway who are linked with SAP or data of an ERP, would be classified under career acceleration program. That is something you already have some skill. On top of that, you are learning MDG and you are getting into this MDG space. That is called career acceleration program. And we have something called leadership program. That is very short program that is purely meant for the decision makers and the project drivers who are kind of CAOs, CTOs, or departments of heads, or a project manager who is owning the entire project of MDG, or a kind of solution architect, or kind of data quality managers, who wants to who are typical decision makers, key stakeholders in the project. If they want to know the details of MDG, for them, we have planned the leadership program. So now we are in the career acceleration program that says that all the participants who are there in this meet would have some skill already carrying as part of their experiences, right? If someone not having any skill related to this and have any questions, you can park them. End of the session, we can have a discussion about it. That's what we are saying. Who can attend this course? Anyone who is having some experience on the data side, data migration boards, or some end users of any application who are creating the data, right? Someone who is related to the data, those people can attend this course. Or any SAP functional consultants like coming from SD Finance, procurement, those consultants can also attend this course. And anyone coming from technical part of SAP, like integration side or ABAP side, or any other Ariba implementations, or workflow consultants, UI developers can also attend this course. So now let's understand what are the market opportunities that we would get and what are the salary trends that are offered by the current market. So before we go, first we need to understand how an MDG project would be created. For that, let me take an example of, so being an end users or being an ecosystem of SAP, we know that there are different type of people involved in the business process. Basically, this is deriving from stores, right? A person who is sitting at a store on the laptop, he will be entering the sales order, purchase order, or invoices that are requested for the business. Now, we call this person as an end user. Now, there is an IT team or CTO team, or you call it as a business head, who need to ensure that the applications that are provided to these end users are consistent and supporting them to manage all the day-to-day operations. And these people are non-technical, right? But due to some XYZ reasons, there is some data by these end users. Probably they might not have the complete knowledge on this application. Probably the person who is really expert in using the application, there is a new replacement for him, there is a new joinee joined in the company, or there is an integration with, for example, Ariba to SAP, in which some integration would have gone wrong, right? For whatever the XYZ reasons, the data that is created in the system will have duplicates, incomplete, inconsistent, right? Now, this defines or the such kind of data in the system will always create some kind of a transaction problem, right? To make it very simple, probably there is a IT department who wants to manage the number of laptops that are there in the company. So there's a company called Asus, 4 GB RAM, 1 TB hard disk, and the amount of stock that is available is probably 300 is what they want to procure. Now, this is what a next person has made an order and he was replaced by a new person called Y. Now, in the system, he wanted to check the new laptops that are available and he searched for Asus. The way that we pronounce same, but technically there is a difference, right? With S versus Z. With this difference, probably he couldn't find out that there are some stock which is already made an order. So this guy would go and again try to create a new record with this type of issue again, right? This is what he believes in Asus, and probably not try to create a record again with 300 stock. Now, do you think what kind of a financial impact that the company will go through? Or in case even if the order is not approved, someone would have caught it. But the amount of time that they have invested has no use. But still, there is a master data record that is being created in the system. So such kind of scenarios will always lead in giving wrong impressions to the administration. So to avoid this, we need to clean this data. We would expect that there is some junk will be created and we have to clean this data. Again, over an interval of 3 years or 5 years, again the data will be created and again some junk will be introduced. Again, someone has to clean this data. The way that we used to clean the virus in our laptops, right? So for every 1 year or 2 years, we used to clean the virus in the laptop by installing some kind of softwares. So this is something we always need to do this. Now, what if I don't want it to do this kind of a repeated cleansing practice in my organization. So one thing, I'll clean the data. This is one task. And task 2 is to make sure no duplicate, inconsistent, junk data to be created. If I ensure that there is no such kind of data being created, I don't need to do this kind of a cleansing process again and again, right? So now a company has identified that there is some junk data available in the system and it has to be cleaned and it should be governed or it should be managed for the future process. This is the business problem, right? What is the problem statement again? People can type it, right? What is the first problem statement? How to clean current junk data. And what is the second problem? How to ensure new data is unique, complete, and consistent with zero error. This is a question as a company. Let's say if this is the company, as a company, I have as a business head. Then this business head would discuss this point with someone from the technology team, could be CTOs or CIOs, right? Or IT heads. They'll understand this problem statement. Then every client will have their account relationship manager assigned by their SAP team. Right now, there would be some account manager from SAP side. Right now, for him, these two problems would be given. The problem statement will pass to this SAP account manager. Now, this guy would take this problem internally to their sales team, and sales team will go and have a discussion with the solutioning team, and solutioning team will bring some architect from data who will provide a solution for data cleaning and data governance. So from SAP point of view, to clean the current junk data cleansing exercise is required. And for new data governance solution is required. This is what they will recommend to client ABC, right? Now, who will implement this? For that, SAP can say that they themselves can implement it, or they have their SAP partners, right, who can implement it. Or there is something called SAP partner website. Let me show some example. Consulting and implementation partners. And you can look for example, Cloud ERP provide, and you can also give, or probably you can just remove this and you can just say India and you search for partners. You get multiple partners here, right? And also their competencies as well, in which areas they're good at. Now, probably if you look at the competencies here, they have the two competencies. One is SAP ERP and another is BTP. Since they have this skill set, these guys can directly approach their partner by clicking on the contact button, submit a form. So someone from them will reach out to the consulting company. So this is one way where the client, so-called as ABC client, can reach out to multiple companies. And once they reach out to the companies, ABC will reach out to companies, consulting vendors. After the initial discussions, now this consulting vendor will ask an RFP from the client. Now, they will give response to RFP. RFP means what? The kind of, the major two questions what we had. They will break down these questions into more detail, right? More attention to detail. And then the responses will be provided. And here, implementation approach, duration of implementation, cost of implementation, support after implementation, and vendor capabilities. All these things will be discussed internally, and they will listen these kind of responses from various vendors based on the cost, comfortability, confidence. They will award a project, right, with reference to SOW, scope of work. So RFP problem will convert into RFP. RFP will convert into scope of work. Scope of work will convert into blueprint. Blueprint will convert into functional spec. Functional spec will convert into technical spec. and then test script is what? From where it starts and from where it ends, right? So the moment we have this blueprint ready, there will be a project plan that will get prepared, in which duration, activities, number of resources, and who is doing what, ownerships will be assigned and presented in terms of project plan. So this is what happens before we get into a project. Does someone have any questions on this? Why there is a data problem? We discussed. Who will identify the data problem? We discussed. How this problem statement will be considered and converted into RFP? We discussed, right? And how this project will be given to various vendors and how a project will be awarded? We discussed. And these are the other details which happens after the project has been confirmed. Any questions? Okay, I'll take it as no. Now, let me also discuss the different kind of roles that are part of a project. This is from the vendor. This is from the client side. I have here solution architect and PMO and pre-sales. These three people will be working together, who will be reporting to the sales or owner of the firm. Now, from a client side, also there will be a PMO, IT head, finance, procurement, business head. These three people will be working together to ensure that, they'll be work with pre-sales and solutioning to ensure that they are picking up the right solution. Now, IT head will work with the solution architect to ensure the integrations, establishment of the application, everything is feasible according to the defined scope of the project. Now, this PMO will work with the PMO of a vendor to make sure the project is running on track. Now, these three people will be reporting the information back to the probably like CFOs or CAOs or the founders, size of the company. Now, the solution architect and PMO will be again working with solution architect, and PMO will be again working with technical lead and the functional lead of MDG. Now, these leads will be, functional lead will be working with the testing team, and technical lead will be working with the development team. So the number of roles that we are seeing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 different roles in which you can see yourself in case if you're looking for an opportunity on the consulting side. That is what I'm going to land here on the previous session, right? MDG consultants, functional consultants, and the data quality managers. Let me also give the overview of data quality. Now, this data quality managers is one of the fancy role. Data manager, data analyst, data expert, whoever you call it as. These are the roles which are always having a high demand and independent of technology. You do governance with SAP, you do governance with Oracle, you do governance with any other tools. The concepts are going to be same, right? You do migration with boards, or you do migrations with LSMWs, or you do migrations with Synergy tools. The concept will be same. So the data engineers or the data managers, analysts, experts, chief data officers, right? These kind of roles are always fancy and highly dependent and highly awarded roles. In case if you're coming from any of this role, again, this is one of the opportunity where from the business side, because as I said in my previous slide, business is also closely working with the sales and solution architect team to make sure that their problems are addressed. So you can get into this role as well. Now, let's understand the S4 system. There are different kind of misconceptions how people are looking at S4 SAP MDG system. Let me make it simple. When SAP is delivering S4 HANA system, they also include the core models of SAP like finance, SD, HR, other models. Along with that applications, they will also deliver their respective backend database tables in which the data will get stored. This is something even in ECC also happening the same. right? Before S4HANA, even in ECC, the same thing was happening. But in ECC, if you want to implement MDG, you have to purchase an additional add-on software and install it. But in S4HANA, those latest models are also coming by default in the same solution delivery. That is the only difference what you have in S4 versus ECC. So when you have this UI5, MDG, BW, and other solutions which are latest and niche modules, the only thing what you need to do is, instead of installing the software, you just need to go and add the related business functions in the backend, right? So that the solution will get activated. So now what I'm saying is, the MDG is also one of the similar solution like FI, SD, MM. The same kind of programming skills are required, ABAP, OO, ABAP, and same kind of integration experience is required like IDOCs, RFCs, and interface developments, right? So that you'll be able to manage your MDG application. Now this MDG database will talk with, database tables will talk with the respective master data objects and then get the data back to this MDG tables. We call these tables as the generated tables for staging, where the data in these tables will be stored temporarily. During the approval process, the data will store here. After approval, the data will be sent to your respective tables, right? So once the data is in your respective tables, from there you can send the data to any SAP and non-SAP systems. Once the data is available here, right, you can send the data to any SAP or non-SAP system. Now, please do not link this replication with MDG. You are doing complete integration here. This integration is not dependent on MDG. The source of this integration is your S4 tables. From here, you are replicating the data, right? This you call it as a SAP MDG solution available in S4 system. Now coming to deployment options. Wherever your purchase orders, sales orders, invoice, transactions are being created in the same system, if you are creating your customers, vendors, materials, GL accounts using MDG, then you call it as a co-deployment solution. That means the place where you are doing the transactions, there you have implemented MDG to manage your master data. You call it as a co-deployment or embedded deployment. But in case you have reserved a separate system in which you are creating the data and you are replicating it to your operational system. In this, only master data will be there, no transactions. If this data is created in a separate system and you send the data to your operational system where your transactions are happening, that you call it as a hub deployment. So if someone is asking you what is the deployment option that you are doing, you have to always talk with reference to your operational data. Where is your operational data exist? Same system, co-deployment, different system, hub deployment, right? So what are the reasons why you go for hub deployment is a later discussion that we'll do. But please do understand the two different type of deployment options of MDG is based on your operational data availability. Okay, probably I'll be taking a 2 minutes of gap now to see if you have any questions. If not, I'll continue. Do anyone have any questions, clarifications to be done on this slide or previous slides? No questions? I see someone talking. Probably I couldn't hear properly. Shastri, do you have any question?
Sir, carry.
So now let's see how the data will be created. Generally, before I am doing MDG projects, I am having a different opinions like, who will be creating the master data. I was thinking only one person will do that, but my assumption is wrong. For example, if you take a customer have some general data like address, phone, email, so on, and then some finance data, company code data, bank data, and some sales data. Ravi, sorry, your question is not clear. If someone asks them what we have to say about hub or co-deployment, can you give a little more details about it? I'm not really sure from which context this question is. If someone asks them, who is them?
Hi, Ravi, can you just open up your mic and can you ask your question?
If someone asks in interview, which option have you used? I mean, as I said, this is purely depend on the project. You can very much say that you have implemented co-deployment, right? I mean, there is no mandate that I'll be using hub deployment always. It is purely depend on the scenarios and problem statements what a client has. That's why what I told in my previous slide, what are the reasons that it goes for core and hub deployment is a later discussion that we'll do. But we need to understand that there are only two types of deployment options we have, right? The reasons or the attributes why we will go for which option we'll discuss later. So I was thinking all this data will be managed by only one team, but I'm wrong, right? Now, when the requirement is there to create by sales team, they'll only create the general data and the sales area data related to that customer. But without having the company code, without having the bank data, then we cannot do any financial transactions with them. So the enhancement or extension of that customer to the company code data will be done by the finance team, right? And extension to that finance team related to the tax data and any other kind of sensitive information will be done by the quality managers. So there is a different teams involved who will be maintaining or extension of data will happen in a progress of business, right? It is not happens on the same time. That's the reason I'm saying when someone is requesting, they might check if there is already a customer available. If no customer available, then they'll create the data, probably like 30% of the data will be created, which will be stored in the MDG staging tables. From there, it goes to the validation team, probably like, who is from sales or from DQM team or trade check team or, someone who will review the information and extend it to the relevant views of sales, finance, purchasing. Once it is done, it will be approved by the business head, right? He will ensure that he will talk with various departments and see if the values are properly filled and business is demanding the new data creation. Then he'll approve when there is no business error. Please understand, we are saying a business error, not the data error. And then the data will be moved from the staging tables to the core tables of S4 system. From there, in case we want to replicate the data, we can replicate to any SAP and non-SAP systems. So this is the high-level process which happens once you implement MDG. These things you guys can look from previous recording. That is not pretty much important, but here, yeah, I can talk about solutions. What are different solutions available? In most of the SAP MDG commodities, the solutions are also offered as objects. Objects means nothing but material, customer, vendor, BP, GL, profit center, cost center, and other FI objects. So when SAP started its first object, when they got to design an MDG solution, they started with FI. Once the solution is working according to their expectations, then they roll out that same framework to build a BP solution and a material object. This is what offered by SAP. Now, there are other master data objects also, like equipment, article master, financial fixed asset accounting, functional location, work center, like that. There are some other master data objects also. Now, as an SAP partner ecosystem, SAP also wanted their partners to grow. So that's where SAP has given an opportunity for their partners to build the solutions where SAP has not provided, right? These, they call it like, these are some white spaces where there is no solution offered by SAP. Now, that time there was a company called Utopia who developed solutions for these people, these objects. It is called as RFM, Retail Fashion Article Master, and this is called EAM, Enterprise Asset Management. This is purely into plant maintenance. any manufacturing company who is having this equipments, functional locations, work centers, they want to go on their object, they need to have an MDG solution. They need to approach Utopia for that. Similarly, for IS Utilities Article Master. And there is an object called Financial Fixed Assets. It was developed by a company called SNV. Right? Now, these two companies, Utopia and SNV, was acquired by a company called Prometheus Group. So for the same reason, you can see SAP MDG for EAM. You can see there is a company called Prometheus Group here. Similarly, you can see extension by Utopia. Why 2? Just because of this was an earlier company who developed this extension, later acquired by Prometheus Group. So these are the different objects and their solutions. Different views of each object is provided here. And MDG started in around 2014, but it was on ECC solution. And later in 15, they also started with S4. They clubbed with S4 version. In 16, the application was more mature and released for the partners. And in 2017, the application had multiple issues in terms of the new S4 client environments. There are so many SAP nodes that have been released, fixes. So all these fixes has combined and packed under the new S4HANA release 1709. Then followed by 18, the data quality management has been launched. And 2019, the change request tracker and enhanced search capabilities have been provided. In 20, duplicate check has made it a little flexible. And also, the data loads were only supporting TXT files. But from 2020, they also supported Excels as well, Excel format. And 2021, it's all about now the performance of BPR, the performance of material applications have been extended. And in 2022, the DQM was only supporting the standard fields so far, but 2022, they also extended the support to include the custom fields as well. And 2023 is the latest version of cloud-ready version of MDG, right? After that, there is no new announcements of MDG version that was released. So this is something that we have discussed about different versions of MDG. And I would say this is a complete recap what we have discussed on the previous session. So today we will be getting into more details of the continuation of the previous topic. Now, when we are making an RFP, or if someone is responding to an RFP, what are the various things that we need to look, which will define the efforts, duration, complexities, risks that are involved in the process? First thing what we need to do is we need to analyze the existing system. In that, the primary question would be how much of data we are going to govern, from where this data is being created, right? Let me give an example. From where this data is being created, why it is more relevant. I have my I have my operational system here in which my vendors are being created. But created from where? SAP, SRM, or Ariba system to my S4, for example. Now, probably can you say that Ariba is a hub deployment to S4? Definitely you can say that. Because this is completely a separate system which is managed to work for supplier creations. But when we are wanted to implement MDG, then your vendors are being created here via MDG. Now, the integration of SRM should happen to MDG application, not directly towards your SRM vendor module. This is why it is always relevant to understand the source from where the data is being created. Or if SRM is already there, why they wanted to implement MDG? Or which part of data to be governed? It is not entire data. For instance, the general data is already approved by SRM team, but my extension of sales, company code, finance, that should be governed by MDG. Right? So first thing, at most, source of data being created. Now, whenever we are looking for MDG implementation, it is dependent on the volume of records. The licenses are calculated based on volume of records. I guess it is 25,000 is called as one bucket or one set. In case if you need additional 1,000, you need 26,000. You can't get only 1,000 records. That is the reason I'm saying set. You need to get 2 sets so that you'll get 50,000 volume of records. Now this I'm just taking an example that this 25,000 is a set. It could be 20,000, 25,000. This is something purely depends, right? But according to my knowledge, the sets are something which will be offered. Now it's purely depends on the client and relationship with SAP, salespersons, offerings, all those things might vary in this sizes. Okay. Now, in case if I'm looking for material master, the way that SAP will calculate the licenses would be total number of records, number of materials is equals to, just for example, 80,000 are there approximately so far, in which blocked are 10,000, mark for deleted are 20,000. So the balance of 50,000 is what considered to be active records. For this 50,000, how many sets of licenses you need to purchase? If 25K is a reference, for 50K into 2, we need to take 2 sets so that the 50K data would be adjusted. But how about the new data which we are going to create? So for that, we need to go back to the historical data. On an average, every year, how many amount of materials that we are creating? Are we creating 10,000, 5,000, 2,000, 20,000? How many we are creating per year? Per year, if my approximate count is going to be 4,000, right? Average per year equals to 4,000. Then for the next 2 years or 3 years, you need to have one more, because within 50,000, the entire existing data is occupied with this 2 sets. So you need to purchase the 3rd set also. So total 75,000 data has to be, volume of records is what we will pay as a license. Or the other effective way could be, we can wait. Out of this 50,000, there could be at least 8,000 or 10,000 might get cleansed or blocked or marked for delete. If we do cleansing exercise, some of this data might be again get deleted. Then within these 2 sets, we can manage the next 1 year data. This is purely a strategy how you want to deal with the number of records or the volume of records, or your plan to go to market next year. Are you going to acquire any company next year? Might decide the volume of these records. So we always need to calculate the existing plus the new data that we are going to create would be calculated as part of a licenses of MDG. This is one factor. And second factor, review the customization. Did we extend any custom fields to the master data object? Do we have any custom field on the material master? Like, do you have any field called like color code? Or do you have any field called the OEM number? Something like that. If yes, the amount of time that takes that custom field included in my MDG solution will also make the difference. And how many company codes are there? How many plans are there? Each plant might have a different process. For example, I have a material called finished product. There is a material type called FG. And I'm kind of a manufacturing company who will manufacture TVs, who will manufacture mobile, and who will also manufacture cameras. So an FG is always an FG, no matter if it is a TV or mobile or a camera. But for TV creation, probably I need 3 different team approval. For mobile, I need only one level. For camera, I might need 6 levels. Even if it is an FG, but based on the different product category, my approval process might vary. So we need to understand how many distinct processes that the company has established in terms of governance process is something that we need to check. And that is something, once we review the customization, we'll get to know. And followed by identifying a distinct process is something that we have discussed just now. And there could be some kind of a sensitive fields in the process. The moment you change it, there is a lot of impact. For example, evaluation class in the material group in the material, or it could be a search term in a material. I mean, in the customer, right? Or it could be the PIN code of a customer, bank information of a customer. So these are all sensitive data, which the moment you change them, immediately there is an impact. So you need to know what is the amount of approval that it takes to change the sensitive fields. Identify a process for that. And how many teams involved in this process? Who is owning the process, or who is just getting informed in the process? Right? All these things we need to understand in the system, and then we should be able to answer the RFP. And then the budget planning. So budget starts from the deployment options. If it is a separate hub system, you definitely have an additional infrastructure cost because you need to perform sizing. I mean, in SAP, there is something called T-shirt sizing. Like when you purchase a T-shirt, you have small, medium, large, extra large, double XL. So each size will give you some sets of configuration. Probably this could be like, 100 GB RAM with some kind of 500 GB hard disk. Like that, there will be certain kind of configurations. And using that tool, for example, SAP sizing tool, right? Again, this is purely a basis activity. And there are some kind of questions that this tool will ask. How many distinct users that are working? How many total number of users that are working? Amount of records that you have? The moment you answer these questions, SAP will propose you some recommendations which T-shirt sizing we need to implement it. Now, considering that recommendations, we can also change some configurations here and there, and we can create an additional infrastructure. So the moment you have an infrastructure, you need to have certain maintenance cost. Someone has to always monitor it, right? The additional cost is there. Then followed by the volume of records that we have discussed, licenses. And then followed by solution cost. If it is an SAP owned solution, there is no extra charge. You are only paying for infrastructure and licenses. But if it is a partner solution, you also need to purchase a solution from the partner. That becomes an additional cost. Or in case if there is no solution available in the market, for example, you want to implement WBS, no SAP partner is offering a solution for project and WBS. You have to implement it. So the amount of time and efforts that requires to build a custom solution is what goes for the solution cost. And after you do this entire implementation, the further ongoing and AMS is what that we would be looking for. Generally, the AMS is not something that we always get. The moment we complete the implementation, whoever is maintaining the S4 system as part of a support, that team will be owning the MDG module also. Only for MDG, there are very less scenarios that I have noticed that has come to my notice that we are doing an implementation support for one client, right? This is what we do as part of a budget planning. Any questions so far? Team, please unmute yourself because I think we are going more deep into the subject. Please don't continue with, with having some questions in your mind. Get it clarified, please. Yes, I heard someone asking a question. No questions? Okay, let me continue. Now, can someone from the participants tell me what is the definition of hub and core deployment? And tell me what is the definition of hub and core deployment? Oh, let's make it more interactive.
Hi, my name is Kavya. So, core deployment means the place where we are doing the transactions, and then there only we are maintaining the master data. I mean, the transaction system and the master data system both in the same place. That is co-deployment, correct?
Correct.
And hub deployment is different way. Like a transaction system will be different, and the master data system will be different, and data will send to another system.
Perfect. This is co-deploy. Now, hub means we manage master data in separate S4 system, and you send this data to your operational. I'm just saying ERP. Please do mind that this is not necessary to be S4. This can be S4 or this can be your ECC or it can be any non-SAP also, right? But where your operations are happening, we call it as a hub deployment. Now, let me give you a case study, right? Let me give you a scenario. Now, there is a customer who is having almost 3 lakhs of materials, okay? Where this company is there from last 30 years. They implemented SAP. From last 30 years, they created materials, every 10 years, every year there is 10,000 materials that are being created. For 30 years, 3 lakh materials are there. Okay. Now, what is an average amount of materials they are creating every year? 10K. Now, can someone tell me if they wanted to implement MDG this year, how many number of sets they need to purchase in case of 25K each set? How many sets they need to purchase to manage 3,10,000 records this year?
13 sets.
Exactly, 13 sets. 25 for 1 lakh, 4 25s, right? 4 sets required. For 3, 4 into 3, 12 sets. For extra 10,000, 1 more set. So my question is, just to manage my 10,000 records which I'm going to create now this year, should I go back and purchase 12 different sets? Does my question make sense? Should I invest on my existing records which are already created and cleansed? Do not require, right? So for that, what is a feasible option I have? I'll say that I am having a separate MDG system in which I don't have any transactions, no transaction, and no master data. So for this, I can take only one set, 25,000. In this, I'll implement MDG. By taking only one set, I implement MDG here. So that my all new materials which are going to create it, with the one set license, I'll manage MDG. And whatever I create, that every material, I'll replicate to my operational system. Now, if I'm implementing this approach, I'm saying that this is one of the reasons why I have hub deployment option, right? So to avoid the cost, I can go for hub deployment. This is one reason. Or currently, I'm having an ECC, okay? ECC, EHP6. How many of you know still there are so many SAP customers who are still on ECC? They are not upgraded or migrated to S4HANA, right? Now, in case if I have to implement MDG on my ECC, it is not feasible. Then what I'll do? I'll go and implement a separate S4HANA box, S4 MDG, and then I'll replicate the data to ECC system. So what is the second reason here? Incompatibility of my existing ECC system. Software incompatibility. Or there are large customers who might have 30 systems, 30 ECC, S4, non-SAP systems. Every system is having its own way of managing the data. But I want to have one single process. You call it as central hub and replicate the data to all 30 systems. This is to manage your operations and data centrally, right? These are the 3 reasons why we go for hub deployment. License could be one factor, or the software compatibility could be the second factor, or to wanted to go with the global approach with the central hub maintenance could be the other factor. So far, I have done close to more than 25 MDG implementations so far. Worked on multiple RFPs, those things. Apart from these 3 reasons, I did not find any other reasons why there is a hub deployment. I'm open to hear in case if someone of your experience you have a different reason why someone has implemented hub. Do someone have a reason, previous experiences? Yes? Okay. I'll take it as no then. So please understand the reasons why we go for hub and core deployment. These are the 3 reasons, and you can give any 1-2 reasons in your interview if someone asks you the question. Right? To answer Ravi's question, these are the 3 reasons. So let me show scope of work. This is one of the sample scope of work which I want to show. You will say what is your approach. You want to go with hub deployment, and this hub deployment will be later converted into core deployment because there is a digital transformation happening on the client side, and these are various industries the client is working. So we have to provide the governance for all these different industries. For each industry, there is a create, change, and block scenarios. So we need to provide template for different templates for each industry. So a workflow template will have maximum of 8 approvals, and email notifications will be there for designated approvers. Agents will be identified, the approvals will be identified based on the custom logic, right? User substitution handling will be provided as process continuity. Like that, we'll talk about workflow, and we'll also detail what is the validations and derivations that we'll be providing, called it as business rules. And we do provide the list of enhancements that we provided for the user interface, adding the custom field, right? And probably in case we need to pull any kind of reports, custom reports, how many change requests that are being created, what are the different processes that are being created, analytical reports that we need to generate, some kind of report program, download the sheet, do your analysis, submit it for your reporting team, right? That kind of reports can be provided. And end of the day in the project, we'll also do the knowledge transfer, technical to technical, functional to functional, and end users representatives will give the entire application KT. This is what we cover as part of a scope. And most of the times, all the SAP practices will go with SAP R3 Activate methodology. You do preparation, you do explore, you do realization, you do deploy, you do run, and you do support and go live. So what do you do in the preparation? If I am starting a project, who are there from the client side? Who are there from the vendor side? What are the various roles? What is the escalation matrix, right? What are the documents required? What are the different milestones that are there? And explore phase. It is basically connecting with business to gather the requirements. With regards to scope of work, you connect with the various business departments and gather the requirements. And in the realization phase, you develop. And during the deploy phase, you move the entire code into the quality system and you test. Once you approve, you push all the code to the production system and you keep it ready. And based on the implementation reports, the number of errors in SITs or in testing, how many errors have been reported, how many have been fixed, how many have balanced, are we ready to go for a go live? Can we announce it? What is the right time for the go live? All the decision will happen during the run discussion, and finally they announce the go live date. So the moment go live is completed, there will be a hypercare period of 2 months or 1 month or 15 days, depends on the size of the project, and then the support will start. So this is one of the sample what you can see. Preparation is for 2 weeks. Requirement gathering is for almost 2 months. Development phase is for almost 3 months. Testing is for 2 weeks. Then the hypercare will start. And you can manage with sprints, without sprints. That is purely dependent on how the project is being managed, right? So here I would like to park my discussion, and I can show a detailed project plan here. The same thing what we have discussed during the prepare phase. We'll set up the infrastructure, we'll identify the stakeholders, we'll initiate the project setup. In the explore phase, we'll conduct the workshops, we sign off the blueprint, and we publish it for the business approval, do any corrections, and finally sign off it. Once the explore phase is completed, in the realization phase, activate the MDG solution. Here it is all about custom solution, but if it is not custom, you will enhance the solution and set up all the features, and then you test the application. do a code review, develop the training material, and perform the training here. Once the training is completed, start the testing. End users will start doing testing. And once it is sign off, you do the cutover plan, how to do go live. And there will be go no go decision. Once it is done, you will announce a go live. And then you prepare a go live, run with hypercare support, and then your regular AMS will continue. Right? So you guys can go to this project plan in detail once you got LMS access. So now we understand the different deployment options and what are the reasons that we go for deployments, right? And the detailed project scope as well. Now, going from next week, Saturday, we are starting the batch. It would be like every day close to 2.5 hours it would be. We will be getting into the system and start doing hands-on by taking a project, right? I'll take one real-time project and start doing it. So here I would like to take your questions, feedback, anything that you would like to share about the session can be improvised. I think we are open for that. Yes?
Avnish, session was good. Wanted to know the duration of this course, and will it be only on weekend or also on weekdays?
So it is planned to be 35 hours of session, right? Already we completed close to 3 hours from the last 2 sessions. Next it would be about 30 hours. 32 hours is there. So every weekend I plan to do. I'm comfortable taking the session for 2.5 hours, but I'll see based on the participants' response how much you guys are interactive. I may limit it to 2 hours to 2.5 hours. Anywhere according to our team reactions, response, all those things. So we can see there will be next 7 weekends.
And will there will be any hands-on activity on the implementation part?
Definitely, right?
Or
one project I'll take real time, right? I've shown you one scope, correct? According to one scope, I'll start doing one object. And I'll give you another scope for all the participants, right? With the reference to that scope, you guys have to do your own object. And apart from that, I'll also give 2 other RFPs, and that will be considered as case studies. So end of the course, you will be having a real-time experience of 4 different projects. Right? So definitely hands-on is there. And I'll take the complete custom solution also, right? Because that give you the end-to-end knowledge instead of activating the standard templates. And in 90% of the projects, there are some common things. Adding an extra F4 value, adding or removing a field, creating an additional error message, deriving a value, right? Replicating the data, adding a custom field to the data model. These are very much common scenarios that those discussions will be definitely included in the system. Included in the practice.
Hello. Hi, Anvesh. My
Hi.
question is, does any classes will be also for weekdays?
Weekdays, no. So your name is?
Suniti.
Suniti. Suniti, for the weekdays, no, Suniti, because my earlier engagements, taught me that probably there is no problem in conducting it, but since all are working professionals, end of the day is kind of unsure. No one of us working professional cannot commit this is my in time, right? Because always working hours could stretch. So for that reasons, I see the activeness or interactiveness during the weekdays is very less. For that reason, we have having only weekend sessions.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take any feedback or any comments in the comment section, and we would like to also hear your feedback. How is the entire session went, and if there is anything that you feel like if there is anything that to be improved, or you feel like there is anything something to be discussed from your side, so anything is open to discuss now. So please, if you would like to mention the chat, you can use, or if you would like to anything to express, please unmute yourself.
Hi, sir. I am Venkatesh. The session was good, sir. I have one basic doubt. In the initial time of the session, you mentioned that the problem statements, one is regarding the data cleansing, and the other thing, how the master data governance can be managed. So as part of the cleansing the data, I mean, generally, if any organization want to do that activity, is it ideal for the in-house team to do that data cleansing, or should it be outsourced? What will be the pros and cons of each option?
It's a very good question. Probably, you're the first guy, to ask this question. A very, very, very genuine question. See, now there are two different concepts in terms of master data. Okay.
Yes, sir.
For example, you take spare parts. In every company, a spare part could be there, right? So
Yes,
there
sir.
are certain kind of an ISO standards that how you have to maintain a spare part. There is a clear definition. Okay, this kind of data can be outsourced. There are some data cleansing companies. They will do the data cleansing according to this ISO templates, according to the guidelines. What is mandate? How you need to maintain. For example, if you're talking about a laptop, right? First,
Yes, sir.
the brand name should come, followed by RAM should come, followed by hard disk should come, followed by the inches of the screen should come, right? If this description is not there in the cleansing, on the material, then you would be not able to spot the exact laptop, to which laptop you're talking about, right? So this kind of a common thing where there are certain kind of guidelines, this can be outsourced. Okay.
Got it, sir.
Now, there could be something company specific data. For example, you manage to create tiles, or you manage to create some cosmetic products, right? And these are something that there are no ISO standards. This is something how you define, that is how it is. Okay.
Yes,
For
sir.
example, if you're coming from for example, FMCG, okay, you can classify a burger as the burger has the highest family, and then you can say it's a non-veg. Or first you can classify non-veg and then you can say burger, right? How do you define if something? It is your internal process. The better way to cleanse this is by in-hosting. How we are managing, there are no guidelines. There's no one can define this is how you should be. So there are such kind of data where your in-house team would be the better guys to do it. In case if the team is not having an availability, you can even give this kind of a guidelines to a third-party vendor. Even they can also cleanse it. Right?
Oh, got it, sir. Yes, sir.
For example, there was a company who were doing meat management. Meat is a master data for them, flesh, right? So
Yes, sir.
there is no guidance how you need to manage your meat in the industry. Now, how is this data can be cleansed? No one has an idea except that company. So they have different types. For example, seafood meat, how they'll manage, poisonous food, how they'll manage, So that is something we don't get this knowledge outside. Only internal team can do that.
Got it, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions or someone, because as we are close to wind up the session, So please utilize your this time to get your answers. I would like to hear feedback from each one of you. Maybe starting with Deepak, Venkatesh, Kavya. So we'll follow the pattern. So would like to hear your feedbacks as part of your day from the starting until the end of the session. So would like to hear your feedback. Yes, Deepak, please go ahead.
Yes, session was good. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Venkatesh.
I mean, session was presented in a structured manner. Best part, what we understand is that instead of directly going to the technical aspects, I mean, why the MDG is important and how it is implement. I mean, how it will be implemented in real time. We have got a minimum basic idea how the MDG project works. Good session.
Okay. Okay. How about you, Kavya?
Yeah, it was very nice. Actually, you explained a very easy way, like we didn't got any confusions here. So I felt it was very nice, like very simple and understandable.
Okay. How about Pallavi?
Yeah, actually, it's good. I got a basic understanding of MDG. Previously, I have no idea about MDG. I just wanted to register to get to know how MDG works and all. I got a basic idea and about MDG.
Okay. Okay. Do you think is there anything that we can change or can be improvised in the coming sessions? Okay. So we'll go with the next person, Mr. Subir, Paul, and Ravi. Any one
Yeah,
of you? Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So session is very good, but actually I already have a 6 years of experience in SAP MDG functional. So
Mm-hmm.
this term which was already discussed in this basic session is already known by me. I was looking for like more depth sessions and more enhancement kind of things. So just wanted to understand that what is the pricing of the course you have and what kind of support you can provide on the course if I take.
Okay. So coming to the course and the details. So tomorrow we'll connect and we'll discuss, and so you'll get to know more in detail.
Sure, sure, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Ravi, what's your feedback? How did the session went? Ravi, are you there? I think we'll go with Suniti now. Suniti or Yash, I'd like to hear your feedback.
Yes, of course, it is a very nice session as I don't know anything about SAP MDG. So from
Mhm.
basic you have started. It was very nice, and at least I have now some knowledge about SAP MDG. So it was great.
Okay. Anything to be improved or anything to be changed in the coming sessions?
Actually, I'm coming from a BAP background, so I just want to know means from if someone is coming from a BAP background, so it will be helpful for us to understand MDG and how quickly we can obtain that.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for the feedback. Yash, what's your feedback
Yeah,
on this?
1 second. I think Srinidhi, see, definitely MDG is an extension of ANABAP, right?
Okay.
So right now we would have noticed that the entire world is talking about data.
Hmm.
Now, even I started my career as an ABAPer. The big shift what happened in my career is before ABAP, after ABAP. There are a couple of my friends who are started their career as an ABAP. When my package was close to 35, their package was still around 18 and 20. When my package was close to 50, their package was still 23, 24. You know, that's big thing what happened. And second thing, the kind of comfort. When ABAP is a skill, anything which happens on SD, FI, HR, all these issues will come back to an ABAP consultant. Am I right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of to manage your work-life balance, you don't have that kind of a time to manage. because every day there is endless work. But MDG consultants are always reserved to manage only their MDG work. Right? The moment you shift yourself to MDG, you are only required to manage your MDG related developments, no other developments. And that too, the amount of time that you invest on learning MDG and also working on MDG in terms of coding libraries, whatever it is, kind of very small compared to above what you are doing.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
It will helpful. Yeah.
So that way, along with your career, hike in terms of roles, positions, along with your CTCs, your work-life balance, all these things will definitely get managed the moment you get into MDG. And this is the reason there's a lot of traction in the market as well. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think.
I have a doubt that currently the market is shifting towards S4 HANA, CDSUs, RAP, BTP, and all. How and the ABAP how can he shift to MDG? Like what motivates and what kind of work will be there in MDG as a technical?
Okay. Good one. So logically, I'll ask you one question. So let's say you are upgrading yourself from Android to Apple, right? So you have a lot of contacts which you don't use, and you have so many videos, media, photos which are there in your Android. Right? As a human, when you're taking a photo, you take 5 clicks, out of which you need only one. But remaining 4, you don't delete it, but it will be still there in your mobile. Correct? So when you're upgrading to Apple, would you carry all the junk data also to a new phone?
No.
No, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing, even when you're shifting your home from old home to new home, probably in the old home, you always dump the data, right? Everything into your cupboards.
Yes.
When we are moving out to a new home, we always get rid out of it, which you don't use. You don't want to take a new environment, right?
Yes.
So the same thing happens because here also people are. We are dealing with people only, not with machines, right? The regular tendency is that when you are moving from ECC to S4, you ensure that all the existing junk data has to be cleaned. For one reason, what I told, right? And second reason, S4 HANA licenses are calculated based on the data. Not only MDG, the S4 itself. Okay, so the data cleansing is something that always happens. On top of that, ongoing data should also get managed. So MDG becomes one of the mandatory module when you're shifting from a legacy to S4 HANA system. Right? Now you understand this point.
Okay.
So the number of S4 HANA migration projects you have, that much of demand you'll be having for an MDG project.
Okay.
Right? Parallelly, you would be having RAB, you'll be having CPI, you'll be having BTP. All these are S4 HANA related, new modules. So in all these modules also you'll be having your demand. Right? But for example, if you're taking BTP, it's a coding platform. If you're taking CPI, it's an integration platform. But MDG, it's a data platform. You will be tagged to a data consultant, not MDG. So anything in future in your career, if you are getting tagged to data, that will be definitely, awarding you in terms of, future benefits.
Okay.
Yeah. So that reason, getting yourself into MDG, I would always recommend you to get into that space.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, any more questions from any other participants?
Anish, actually,
Yeah, Kavya, please
I
go
have,
ahead.
I have 5 years of experience. That too, I mean, uh, in the same project since starting. Uh, so will you suggest? Actually, I am from MDG functional consultant. Will you suggest me to change my role as a techno functional or technical consultant like that, or functional will be also a good role? How can you suggest here?
Okay. So, Kavya,
Mhm.
generally, if you see the name techno-functional, the prefix starts with technical, correct? It is a
Right.
transformation from technical to functional, but not from functional to technical,
Okay.
right? So, for
Mhm.
example, let's say if I'm an ABAP consultant, okay, I'm
Mhm.
working in a SD project for more than 7-8 years. I'll
Mhm.
get very much comfortable with OTC cycle, order to cash cycle. I get very much comfortable with the sales order, deliveries, related backend tables. So
Okay.
I'll be equally becoming, slowly I'm becoming a functional consultant, right?
Okay. Yes.
So
Yes.
at some point in time, I can perform both.
Okay.
Similarly, as a functional consultant also, you can become a techno-functional only in case if you are having some technical expertise to it.
hmm Because
Okay.
why I'm asking this question is I was working on the support project, not in implementation or development project. That is the reason. And I don't have
Okay.
much technical knowledge.
So you have to do one more thing then, right? We are
hmm
going to come up with the new codes ABAP for functionals.
Okay.
No matter any functional consultant, SD, MM, FI, HR, any functional consultant,
hmm
whatever the basics that are required for them to know ABAP, not a complete ABAP, right? For them to identify a table, identify a logic, something like debugging. The
No.
essentials that are required to to make themselves comfortable in technical, we are coming up with the codes.
But I'm not from the core background. Like I
No,
don't
you
have
don't need
any.
to be. You don't need to be. When I
Okay.
say we
Mm-hmm.
are we are saying ABAP required for functional, we are not going to teach you the ABAP and coding part. No, not at all.
Okay. Okay.
What are the essentials that are only required for a functional consultant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you make yourself comfortable in the techno-functional space. Is
Okay.
what
Mm-hmm.
is what we are going to discuss in that part.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
there is a difference between that MDG KTs or something like that and that ABAP classes. Both are different, right?
Both are different. Yeah. See, for your role, I would ask you to better to get into the functional consultant role, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
you can say yourself into data quality managers or data management role,
Okay.
because you already completed your career into almost 6 years,
Yes, yes.
right? So
Yeah.
I always being a technical consultant who moved into multiple roles. I prefer
Mhm.
people should get into non-technical roles,
Okay.
you know, because even today, for
Mhm.
example, I'm just taking this as a discussion for your point. EA can replace a technical job, but not a functional job,
Okay. Got it.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, any more questions from anyone or any feedback you would like to share with us?
Yeah, hi Always.
Hey, Yash.
So actually, currently I'm working as a web, and I have 8+ years of experience in web. So
Mm-hmm.
like, can we switch in MDG, or like for future it's best as market, or can you
May I know
guide?
I'll tell you, right? Yes, may I know how many. If you're okay, can you reveal what is your package?
Package not much, like not good, very low as per market.
Okay. So and 8 years of consultant would be getting close to 30 lakhs to 35 lakhs of package in the current market.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
That is what an ideal package which I'm talking about. There are some exceptions who are getting more than that also, but this is the package being awarded, right? So according to this, you can see, whether you should be able to shift it or not. Definitely. I mean, there's a platform for you to shift.
Okay.
See, I
Like,
mean, we as a company, for example, there is a website developer. Okay. Right now in the
mm,
market, if you pay 5,000, someone will develop a website.
yes, yes,
The
correct.
same skills, whatever being used to develop a website, React, JS, Angular, JavaScript, the same thing is required in SAP UFI also. Okay. If you are a website developer, if your package is 20,000, if you learn SAP UFI, then your package is going to be 80,000.
Yes, yes.
So same skill, but having an SAP will definitely hike the career. Now within SAP also, same skill, for example, ABAP. ABAP right now meant to be a regular outdated skill, right? It is not niche. But you learn ABAP plus MDG or ABAP with APO, ABAP with HR, ABAP with transport and management are the niche skills. You can gain
Yes.
your demand, right? So definitely MDG is one of the niche skill and it continues to be niche skill. And it is, and I told you, right? The focus what SAP is doing to convert their ECC customers to S4. Right now, only 30% of the customers have converted. Still, there is a 70% of scope is there to convert. So that much demand we have in MDG.
Yes, yes, got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. See, I would recommend for all the technical consultants before AI is coming, wiping out the jobs, we need to get the maximum peak and get the maximum potential in terms of our career and packages, right? So we are
Yeah,
very
like
close to that.
as per compared to web, like package also good in MDG, right?
Definitely good. Definitely good.
Yeah, and like work-life balance also.
Yes, yes.
Mm, okay, okay. Yeah, just want to know these things. Okay, thank you.
So any more questions from anyone?
Okay. I think if there are no questions, we can wind up. Thank you all. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your participation. Right. Thanks for asking valuable questions. Definitely, I think there are few people who have not raised any questions. Even for them, because of your questions, we're able to explain them, give them, more information. And yeah, so thank you for attending this session. Let's welcome our new weekday. Yeah, thank you.
So if you have any further questions, you can feel free to reach out us after the session. So we will also be sharing the recordings and any relevant resources with you. Okay, maybe tomorrow or any other day. Okay. Once again, thank you for being a part of today's webinar. Have a great day ahead. We look forward to seeing you in upcoming batches. Thank you. Have a good day.